I wanna get enlightened for Christmas. Only enlightenment will do. I don't want somebody or another fucking body. I wanna be the enlightened one in fancy Christmas parties. I wanna get enlightenment for Christmas. I want to embody all that's true. Don't wanna use keys or doors like you. Just walk through the wall, cause that's the easy thing to do. I can see me now on Christmas morning, achieving full liberation. Oh, what a joy and what a surprise when I open up my eyes to Jesus giving me a standing ovation.
Congratulations, Duncan. You're the last sentient being in the universe to achieve enlightenment.
Wait, what do you mean?
I mean, literally, every sentient being achieved enlightenment eons ago. They were just acting like they didn't because they didn't want to hurt your feelings.
I wanna get enlightened for Christmas. Only enlightenment will do. I don't want somebody or another fucking body. I wanna be the enlightened one in fancy Christmas parties. Hey pals, it's me, Duncan, and this is the Duncan Trussell Family Hour Podcast. That track, of course, is the all-time favorite Christmas carol. Garen Full writes, I want to get enlightenment for Christmas. I'm playing it because today we have one of my favorite guests on the show, one of my favorite people, David Nichtern, who is my meditation teacher. And I thought, why not get down to it and have a conversation about enlightenment itself? What is it? What a mysterious thing it is. It seems like the famous spiritual teachers are very enigmatic when it comes to the question. Take Sadhguru, for example.
How does anybody here know I'm enlightened or not? I never made a statement on that. So how do they know? They're just assuming. Yes?
How about Eckhart Tolle?
You can never reach it because it's an abstract concept of who I want to be, not realizing you are it already.
Hey, welcome to my restaurant. We don't serve food because you're already full. Here's your bill.
What is enlightenment? Again, it's one of those words that have come from India. To be enlightened. To be enlightened about what? Please let's be rational, not irrational. When I say enlightened, I'm enlightened about what?
I don't know, Krishnamurti. Well, we're going to find out today in a dialogue with David Nichtern about the concept of enlightenment. We're going to jump right into it. Hello, David. Welcome back to the show. Thank you for coming on again.
Duncan, I feel like I never left.
That's cool.
It is cool.
So today, I thought we could just talk about something that a lot of people talk about, but I don't think, I know what I discovered as I got ready for this conversation, and I just started researching just basic enlightenment or the concept of enlightenment, as I'd never really done that. Like I hadn't really looked up, like where did the word come from? What's the, origin of the concept itself? And I found a lot of really interesting things, mainly enlightenment. It's a fairly recent word that is a translation of a few different words. And so I thought maybe we could start there with the concept of nirvana, which I saw means extinguishment, or literally blowing out a candle. Mm-hmm. Maybe we could start with that.
Yeah. So, it of course, since we spoke a couple of days ago, I thought, well, let's tune into this idea, this concept. And I think as you said, a lot of people have said a lot of different things about it. So
Yes.
do you remember the Japanese movie Rashomon?
No.
Oh, you have to see that, Duncan. Because there's a murder that happens in the forest. And then the different witnesses appear before the magistrate. And each one of them tells their story, what they perceived happened and who committed the murder. And then they they don't resolve it, which is what's Japanese and cool about it. You don't
That's
get
so cool.
There's no fourth act. That's it. So when you say something's like a Rashomon, it means there's different perspectives on something, colloquially, you know. So I think Enlightenment would have to fall into that category, that different people are speaking about it from different angles. But, you know, as you know, I'm speaking about it from a Buddhist perspective, so I wouldn't presume to talk about how it might manifest in terms of the European culture version of it, the Christian version of it. You know, other people would be much more knowledgeable about those things.
Okay.
So here's a framework, and you know, we always talk and we set up frameworks to have a kind of piercing conversation, you know, penetrate somewhere. So sudden and gradual. Sometimes we talk about sudden enlightenment and gradual enlightenment.
Okay, that's cool.
And, you know, you could say within Buddhism that debate has been going on for thousands of years. And some people advocate, you know, the notion of sudden enlightenment. There's some kind of penetration into a state that is like, you know, happens in a moment.
Yes.
And then there's like a real transformation involved with that. And then there's a notion of gradually building the causes and conditions for what you called nirvana there, you know, for cessation. Now, they have had debates over the centuries. This is a famous debate between the sudden and gradual. And so if I could, I'll tell you just one little story.
Please.
Which was Kalu Rinpoche, who is a very famous Tibetan Lama. And actually there's a young Kalu Rinpoche now who's quite formidable appearing. But his predecessor, you know, was an extraordinary practitioner, and he had a debate with a Chinese Zen master. This is kind of famous story. And it was sort of, the Tibetans were representing the sort of progressive or stages of enlightenment approach, and the Zen master is representing the sudden enlightenment approach. So the Chinese Zen master takes an orange in his hand, and he holds it up. You know, he has his person take it over to Kalu Rinpoche and put it in his face and say, "Hey, what's this?" And Kalu Rinpoche just looks puzzled for a minute, you know, thinking about it. And he says through the translator, "What's the matter with this guy? Hasn't he ever seen an orange before?"
That's so funny and so deep and so cool.
Historically, I think the gradual people often won the debate. But here's the kicker on it. I would say the school I come from, you know, which is the Kagyu and Nyingma school of Tibetan Buddhism.
Yeah.
We talk about both kind of simultaneously, which is interesting, or interwoven experiences. So there's always the possibility of like recognizing cessation. All you have to do is stop thinking for 1 second, cut through for 1 second. Everything stops.
Yeah.
Right? You can have that experience.
Yeah.
Anybody in the audience can have that experience. Like if you just made a noise or something, or lightning flash or something. Yeah, you go. But that second, everybody was cessated, you know. But then the thing is, the whole thing comes creeping back in like a bunch of worms towards an apple.
Yeah.
And then you need to work with it. So that's it. I hope that's a good framework for beginning to talk about.
Really cool. Yeah, very cool. It's so, from the story, of course, just the surface level is very funny, and it's a really wonderful jab at someone trying to be so clever. Then in but then also if you start breaking it apart, which is the cool thing about, you know, these people, is like both sides, it's like incredibly deep, but it's so simple, and both sides had to be like it is the conflict between the two that produced a parable, a brilliant parable. Like you needed both takes for that to even happen. Yep. But then, the underlying thing is it's already here. Like
yes,
that's the sudden part. It's already. In fact, it's like it's faster than sudden. I mean, like something is here. There's no sudden. You can't get more sudden than something that's already like it's like the speed of light or something. You can't,
warp drives.
Warp drive. Can't get faster than already here. And so, but then on the other side of it, there is this like acknowledgement. Some people don't know what a fucking orange is, and so. It's the most, and also the other part of it, if you keep picking apart, which I really like, is like what's on one level, what's more boring than an orange? It's like there's piles of them at the grocery store. It's like I've got oranges downstairs, they're everywhere. But also on another level, what's more amazing than an orange? Like how did this even possibly happen at all? So it's so cool on all these different levels. He's teaching. This about using the orange as like enlightenment as that's the idea.
Well, and you could say basically fundamentally from a Buddhist, again, I'm speaking mainly from a Buddhist perspective, but everybody's living in the same world, so it's not like we're describing different universes per se. But you could say enlightenment's a pre-existing condition.
Yes. Right.
That would be one way to talk about it.
Bad
As
news,
you said,
you're diagnosed.
It's sometimes unconditional or primordial are words that are used. Now, so I also thought we could use as a framework the three yanas, or the three vehicles in Buddhism, really talk about enlightenment in different ways. And so, so there's stages of recognition or realization that are generally acknowledged as part of kind of method and a kind of progressive approach where you're developing something progressive, which would be progressively, which would be the gradual approach. So there's three yanas, as you know. There's the narrow vehicle, there's the Mahayana, which is the Bodhisattva vehicle, and then there's the Vajrayana or Tantric vehicle. And so each one has a slightly different perspective on maybe how to approach the topic that we're talking about.
Okay, so as I was looking it up, it is the Wikipedia entry, very deep research here.
What does Wicca mean?
I don't know. I'm sure if we look it up, it'll pop up immediately. Wiki, it's okay. Different podcast. It talks about the extinguishment of these three fires.
Yes.
The three poisons.
Yes.
And so are these three poisons, or the three yanas supposed to be or is there any connection, or just as another
No,
three?
Totally it's connected, but in this way. Poison the word in Sanskrit is klesha. Klesha. So it could mean, poison, but it could mean an obstacle or obscuration. It could mean a neurosis, if you want to use really modern kind of language. And the three are grasping, when you grasp at something and cling to it, attacking or aversion, and ignorance. So those three are, as you know, at the center of the wheel of life. That's what makes the thing spin. That's where the torque comes from. You look out at the world and you break it up into three slices, like a pizza with three slices. One slice is, I don't want it. Get it out of here. Another slice is, I gotta have that. And the third slice is, huh? Duh. Not even seeing anything.
You sound like my kids. Like those are literally the three.
Yeah. If you had
three ways.
And if you have three kids, one of them could be each klesha, on any given day. But I'm like them too. It's like they passionately want something. Right. They passionately don't want something. Or they're just confused. They're just like bewildered.
I don't know.
Bewildered, yeah.
But completely confused. Yeah, bewildered. Yeah. So in these, now what you're was mentioned that these are this is what the term weaving comes in. So these are the three things that weave together the experience of being here, a human, or what most people think of as the human experience. These are the things that glue it all together, and that the extinguishment is that it's not getting glued together by these three pizza slices anymore. And now what? It's, and so, because the implication there, and I think this is where all of us where we're still eating pizza get really titillated, is because that implication of no more pizza. What kind of world is that? What are we, what is that even? Is it even something conceivable? Is it something that if you're still enjoying your pizza, your hell pizza, can you even imagine it? And I get the clapping thing and the pause between breath thing, but we're talking, it's like trying to imagine what it would be like to have a 2-hour orgasm or something, or, you know what I mean? Like, what experientially, can you describe it?
Well, so just continuing to build the frame for one more second here. So the description there would be sort of most akin to the Hinayana perspective, because you're looking at those things as, these are in the way. I got to get rid of these things. I got to extinguish these fires, because every time I go to look at a tree, the passion, aggression, and ignorance get in the way. Every time I go to, to call a girl for a date, every time I go to play with my kids, every time I talk to my wife, every time I work, passion, aggression, and ignorance are in my face, and I can't even see what's right in front of me with any clarity or equanimity. So now, so therefore you begin to dismantle those three things. First, by recognizing them. Second, by making friends with them, which is really advisable, that you don't regard them as an enemy, which could come from the idea of extinguishing. You might want to crush them. And third, by recognizing their nature, which is they don't really have any substance. And that's why people got to meditate, Duncan. You got to meditate, because otherwise you go, I get this intellectually, but I haven't tasted the soup of non-substantiality of my thoughts.
Right.
I buy into every one every time. I'm on board. And if I have a passionate thought, I'm running down, I'm running to the deli to get ice cream. And if I have an aggressive thought, I'm yelling at the neighbor. There's no gap at all. So practice is that's where it fits in. It cuts the chain of those things just going around and around in a loop kind of pattern. So
that's the gradual.
By extinguishing those gradually, seeing the root of them, befriending them so you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and then seeing the insubstantiality of them, gradually their grip on you is released. That's the theory of the Hinayana. They cease to grip you. That's nirvana. You're not governed by those things.